My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of The Lone Ranger. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But this movie is hated for some reason. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 31% from the critics and a 51% from the audience. On IMDb, it has a 6.4 rating. On Letterboxd, it has a 2.7 rating. And back in 2013, I always watched Jeremy Johns, who gave it I'll forget about it in T minus 1 day. Chris Stuckman gave it a C minus, and the Schmoes Knows hated this movie. So when I watched it for the first time, it was part of a marathon. I believe it was The Conjuring, Red 2, and this movie that I watched back to back to back. And I went into this one with very low expectations, but I loved it, and I have watched it plenty of times, and it's a movie I love only more as time passes. I truly think this is one of the most underappreciated movies ever. So let's begin by talking about the cast. And look, I know some people are offended by it, but I don't give a shit. It is hilarious that Johnny Depp plays an Indian in this movie, and he actually does a really good job. I thought he brought plenty of personality to his character, and he really stands out here. Armie Hammer also does a great job. I think he sells you on everything that he needs to, and he just has a distinct personality that works perfectly for this character. And I do like the chemistry between the two of them. They actually hate each other for most of the movie, and I just thought that element felt refreshing. We then got Ruth Wilson, who does a really good job despite her minimal screen time. Tom Wilkinson does a great job as well as the main villain of this movie. William Fichtner is so gross and nasty, but he really stands out. James Badge Dale does a good job despite his minimal screen time. Helena Bonham Carter stands out as this one side character who has this gun leg, and she's a really cool character. Bryant Prince plays Danny, and I thought he did a perfectly fine job. And Barry Pepper is good here. I really do like the arc his character has throughout this movie. So everybody understood the assignment and everybody delivered. And I really do love the character arc of John Reed here. At the beginning of this movie, he is a goody goody two shoes, he is naive, and he just believes that the law is flawless. And I like how throughout this movie, he realized just how corrupt every aspect of government is, and why he eventually realizes the necessity of outlaws, and why he feels obligated to be an outlaw. And I do think there is a really strong arc here, and the story is just compelling throughout. There's plenty here about legacy and myth and history and corruption and greed and power and progress, and it goes about these ideas in very effective ways. One of my favorite scenes of the movie is when the Comanche tribe are wiped out, and that scene just has so much dramatic weight that while everybody else is moving ahead with technology and land, there's people getting left behind and killed. And yeah, that scene really stands out, and there are some other emotional moments here as well. Tonto's backstory actually gives him lots of depth, and I thought gave the movie some nice emotion. And I do love the ending where John decides to leave his home. It's just the acting, the line delivery, just it hits me in the feels every single time I watch it. And the movie is also really funny. Like, Gore Verbinski is just brilliant when it comes to comedy because it's part slapsticky at times, and other times it's just really well written dialogue. And it never compromises the drama. It's a really well balanced movie on when it comes to the tone. And I like how this movie does have a bit of an edge to it. Like, the main villain eats this guy's heart. Like, you don't see it, but the implication is enough, and it is willing to tackle these darker ideas. So there is just so much to love throughout this movie. But it's time to talk about the action. And I say this without exaggeration, but this is some of the greatest action ever put to film. Just, it is so well shot and edited, and the set pieces are exciting and fun, and it's tense and thrilling, and it's perfectly crafted. And I'll say it, the climax to this movie is one of the greatest climaxes ever in movie history. It is legitimately that fucking good. Some of my favorite specific moments are the scene early on where Tonto and John are linked together and they take down that one guy, and then their chain gets hooked onto a hook and they start swinging around. That's a really fun moment. I do like the scene where there's that explosion in a cave and they have to jump into the water. The scene where John catches the bullet from Danny at the end and the music picks up. Oh my goodness, that scene gives me life. I do like how Red shoots that bunch of explosions near the end. I do like how we get that one scene of John sliding down the stairs and then hops immediately on his horse. Like, it's just a perfect aura moment. I do like how there's that shootout between the two different trains and each gunshot matches the music perfectly. I do like how John is on his horse on top of his train, and then there's a tunnel and he has to jump down just at the perfect time, and holy shit, that scene just, it's so good. It is unbelievably cool. I also like the ladder bit at the end where Tonto's on the ladder and he gets across from one train to the next right before that ladder gets destroyed. I like when John is blindfolded and he gets saved by Tonto. I do like how Tonto jumps down onto the other train filled with silver. I like the bridge explosion at the very end. Like, there are so many incredible moments in this movie that just remind me why I love the movies. And I have to give credit where it's due. Gore Verbinski really outdid himself here. Like, this guy is one of the best blockbuster filmmakers of all time, and just everything he did here is truly exceptional. The production design, top notch. The makeup looks great. The CGI looks fantastic. The cinematography is beautiful. It's well edited. Like, I know some people think this movie's too long. I don't share that opinion, but I can understand it. But it's just such a well-crafted movie from top to bottom. But it's time to talk about the music by Hans Zimmer. Once again, no exaggeration, but I think this is one of the greatest scores ever composed. It just gives this movie a unique identity, and it adds emotion, it adds excitement, and I love plenty of pieces like Silver and Forgotten Country and Railroad Waits for No One. But Ride and Home are just masterpieces. Some of Hans Zimmer's finest works, and that's saying a lot. I also do like how he expands upon the William Tell Overture. Like, obviously that piece of music was already iconic, but the way it's used in the movie and the way it's extended, just, wow, he really outdid himself, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for his work here. 2013. 2013 was a crazy good year for movie scores like Man of Steel, The Croods, Saving Mr. Banks, Gravity, this movie, Insidious Chapter 2, Catch and File. But this one is probably my favorite of the bunch. And yeah. So yeah, this is just a movie I love so very much. I have rewatched it so many times, and I really do believe it deserves more credit. I do think the story is compelling. I do love lots of the character work here. I do think it explores its themes in interesting ways. And I do like the framing device of this movie of Tonto talking to that little boy. It just reminds you how stories are passed down through the people that lived them. And it adds a really reflective quality of this movie, I find. Tonto's clearly near the end of his life, and he's just looking back on his time with John. And I don't know, it adds some emotion there for me as well. I do think there is plenty of emotion here. It is funny, it is action-packed and exciting and fun, and it has some truly phenomenal moments, and the movie is so well crafted. I love the music. I'm sorry, but you are all wrong about this movie. Watch it again with an open mind, and it just fully delivers. I'm giving The Lone Ranger a 9 out of 10. I might be mistaken, but I do believe that Quentin Tarantino even had this movie on his list of best movies of 2013, and people were baffled by it, but not me. Quentin Tarantino, he's right about this one, but it's so good. And I would love if we got a sequel, but a movie starring Armie Hammer and Johnny Depp, not likely these days. But The Lone Ranger, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.